Captain Jin-Ho Park watched silently as the alien vessel grew larger in the quantum glass viewport of the HSS Thunderchild. The massive human warship, pride of Earth's fleet, maintained a steady course through the star-scattered void. His first officer, Lieutenant Hae-Yum Lee, worked diligently at her station, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls as she analyzed the incoming data. "Captain, the Varan ship is transmitting standard peaceful approach protocols," Hae-Yum reported, her voice calm and professional. "Their energy signatures match our diplomatic briefing files." Jin-Ho nodded, though something about the situation made him uneasy. The Thunderchild had been sent on this first contact mission, specifically because of its advanced defensive capabilities. While officially a gesture of trust, sending their most powerful warship also served as a subtle reminder of Earth's strength. Multiple new contacts detected, called out Ensign Yuri Song from the sensor station. 3. No, 5 Varan vessels emerging from behind the gas giant. Jin-Ho's hands tightened on the command rail. "Tactical analysis. They appear to be warships, Captain," Yuri responded. "Heavy weapons platforms. They're moving to surround us in a standard combat formation." The bridge crew maintained their composure, though tension filled the air. The Thunderchild was the most advanced ship humanity had ever built, but they were now potentially facing 6 alien vessels of unknown capability. "Open communications," Jin-Ho ordered. "This is Captain Park of the HSS Thunderchild. We are here on a peaceful diplomatic mission as agreed. Please explain the presence of your additional vessels." The response came in the form of energy weapons fire. Multiple beams of searing light streaked across space toward the Thunderchild. Jin-Ho didn't hesitate. "Battle stations, raise quantum shields. Lieutenant Hae-Yun, send an emergency burst transmission to command. We've been ambushed." The ship's eye combat system activated instantly, flooding the bridge with red alert lighting. Crew members who had been monitoring diplomatic protocols switched seamlessly to combat roles, their training taking over. "Shields at full power," reported Chief Engineer Mei Kang from Engineering. "The new quantum barrier system is responding perfectly." The Varan weapons impacted the Thunderchild's defenses, creating ripples of light across the shield bubble. Inside the ship, they felt nothing. "No damage," Mei confirmed. "Their weapons can't penetrate our quantum shields." Jin-Ho allowed himself a small smile. The Thunderchild had been built with technology far beyond what Earth normally revealed to the galactic community. It seemed their caution had been warranted. "Show them why Earth doesn't start fights, but we certainly finish them," Jin-Ho commanded. "Tactical. Target their lead vessel's weapon systems only." Warning shot. The Thunderchild's primary antimatter cannon charged with a low hum that vibrated through the deck plates. A precise beam of concentrated energy lanced out, slicing through the lead Varan ship's outer weapons ring with surgical precision. "Direct hit," reported Tactical Officer Min-Ho Kwon. "Their primary weapons array is disabled." Instead of backing down, the remaining Varan ships pressed their attack. They launched a coordinated strike, their ships moving with practiced efficiency that spoke of extensive combat experience. "They're not amateurs," Hae-Yun observed, studying their attack pattern. "These ships have fought together before." Jin-Ho's expression hardened as realization dawned. This isn't their first ambush. They were waiting for us. The diplomatic mission was a trap. The Thunderchild's advanced sensors picked up numerous energy signatures from the Varan vessels that didn't match their official technological profile. These ships carried weapons far more advanced than what their species had claimed to possess. "Captain," called out Yuri, her voice urgent, "I'm detecting quantum wake signatures consistent with slave transport ships. Recent traffic, heading toward Varan space." The pieces clicked into place. The Varans weren't just hostile. They were slavers, hiding their true nature behind a peaceful facade while they preyed on less advanced species. "Record everything," Jin-Ho ordered. "Earth needs to know what we've discovered here." He squared his shoulders, his decision made. "Tactical, target their engines. We're not letting them escape to warn their fleet. The Thunderchild moved with grace that belied its size, its quantum drive allowing maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship of its class. The Varan vessels found themselves unable to maintain their formation as the human warship danced between them, its superior technology becoming rapidly apparent. Multiple hits confirmed. Minho reported as the Thunderchild's weapons found their marks. 3 enemy vessels disabled. The others are attempting to retreat. Not today, Jinho said firmly. Launch interceptors. Don't let them jump to hyperspace. The Thunderchild's automated drone fighters deployed, cutting off the Varan's escape routes. Within minutes, the battle was over. 6 alien warships hung powerless in space, their engines dark and weapons disabled. No casualties on either side. Heiyun reported with satisfaction. Minimal damage to their life support systems. Jinho nodded approvingly. Begin boarding procedures. I want their databases copied and their crews secured. Earth needs to know everything about what the Varans have been hiding. As the Thunderchild's Marines prepared to board the disabled vessels, Jinho looked out at the stars. What had started as a diplomatic mission had uncovered something far darker. He knew that once Earth learned the truth about the Varans' slaving operations, everything would change. The quantum glass viewport showed the disabled Varan ships, their once proud forms now humbled by their encounter with humanity's finest. Jinho could almost pity them. They had fought to trap a single human vessel, not realizing they were attacking the most advanced warship ever built by human hands. Send a message to Earth Command, he ordered. The Varans have shown their true colors. We've discovered evidence of active slave trading and military deception. Request immediate reinforcement and diplomatic intervention. The galaxy needs to know what's happening out here. As his crew carried out their duties with practiced efficiency, Jinho reflected that this was only the beginning. The Thunderchild had been built to protect humanity's interests among the stars. Now it would serve an even greater purpose, bringing justice to those who thought themselves above it. The first shots had been fired, not by choice but by necessity, and in doing so, humanity had stumbled upon a truth that would send shockwaves across the galaxy. The peaceful facade of galactic civilization had cracked, revealing the darkness beneath. But where there was darkness, the Thunderchild would bring light. And that was just the start of humanity's role in reshaping the galaxy. The battle around the Centauri trading outpost had drawn quite an audience. Alien merchant vessels hung at safe distances, their sensors eagerly recording as the infamous SS Thunderchild faced down a Varan attack fleet 3 times its size. Word of the human warship's first encounter with the Varans had spread quickly, and now everyone wanted to see if the stories were true. Incoming fire, multiple vectors, reported Tactical Officer Minho Quan, his voice steady despite the light show heading their way. Chief Engineer Ta-Won Kim monitored his systems with practiced ease, quantum shields holding at 98%. They can keep this up all day, Captain. Captain Jinho Park stood calmly on his bridge as energy beams splashed harmlessly against the Thunderchild's defenses. The Varan weapons, impressive as they might be to other species, were about as threatening as rain against a steel roof. They're adapting their attack pattern, First Officer Heiyun Lee observed, trying to find weak points in our shield geometry. Jinho allowed himself a small smile. Let them look. Taiwan, how's the new shield modulation system performing? Better than simulations predicted, Taiwan replied with professional pride. The quantum field actually grows stronger with each hit as it learns to match their attack frequencies. Through the command viewport, Jinho watched another salvo of Varan weapons fire dissipate against their shields. The attacking ships were becoming visibly frustrated, changing positions and weapon configurations in increasingly desperate attempts to breach the Thunderchild's defenses. We're being hailed, Communications Officer Su Jin-yoon announced. The Varan commander wants to speak. Put them through, Jinho ordered, straightening his uniform. The holographic display showed a furious Varan shipmaster, his scaled skin flushed dark with anger. What sorcery is this? No shield technology can be this effective. I assure you, Shipmaster, this is pure science, Jin Ho replied calmly. Perhaps if your people had spent more time advancing their technology instead of enslaving others, you'd understand how it works. The Varan's response was cut off as his ships launched another coordinated attack. This time, they added torpedo weapons to their arsenal, antimatter warheads that would have vaporized any other ship of the Thunderchild's size. Quantum shields now at 99%. Ta-1 reported with satisfaction. The new impacts helped the system optimize further. The watching merchant ships were broadcasting everything. Jin Ho knew that within hours, footage of this battle would spread across every major trading hub in the sector. The myth of the invincible human ship was about to become legend. Sir, He-Yun called out, I'm detecting power buildups in their engines. They appear to be preparing to retreat. Jin Ho nodded. Let them go. They've learned their lesson, and we want them to spread the word. The Varan ships began pulling back, their formation ragged and demoralized. The Thunderchild had just faced down their best weapons without firing a single shot in return. The message was clear. Humanity's technology was far beyond what they had imagined. As the enemy fleet disappeared into hyperspace, the observation ships began transmitting requests to approach. Representatives from a dozen species wanted to speak with the crew of the ship that had humiliated the dreaded Varan fleet. Captain, Su Jin reported, we're receiving diplomatic requests from 3 different sector governments. They're all offering trade agreements and military alliances with Earth. The galaxy's balance of power just shifted, He-Yun observed quietly. And we didn't even have to fire our weapons to do it. Jin Ho looked at his bridge crew with pride. The Thunderchild was more than just a warship. It was a symbol of humanity's emergence as a major galactic power. Their quantum shield technology had just demonstrated that Earth could no longer be ignored or threatened. Send a message to Earth Command, he ordered. The demonstration was successful. Multiple witnesses confirmed. Request permission to begin limited technology sharing with proven allies. As the bridge crew carry out their duties, Jin Ho watched the alien ships cautiously approaching the Thunderchild. They kept their weapons powered down, their signals broadcasting nothing but respect and diplomatic courtesy. Amazing how quickly things could change when you demonstrated superior technology. Ta-1, Jin Ho called to his engineer. How long until the quantum shield specifications reach Varan High Command? Given standard subspace communication speeds and their command structure. Ta-1 calculated briefly. 6 hours. Another 12 before their entire military realizes their weapons are obsolete. Good, Jin Ho nodded. That's exactly what we wanted. Sometimes the best way to prevent a war is to make it unwinnable for the aggressor. The Thunderchild maintained its position as the diplomatic ships drew closer. Its quantum shields, still humming with power from the recent attack, cast a subtle blue glow that made the massive warship look almost ethereal. To the watching aliens, it must have seemed like something from legend, a ship that could not be harmed, protecting the weak from those who would prey upon them. The stories would spread quickly through the galaxy's fastest medium, merchant gossip. The ship that no weapon could touch, the human vessel that faced down a Varan battle fleet without firing a shot. The defenders who had finally arrived to challenge the sector's bullies. And that was exactly what Earth had hoped for when they sent the Thunderchild on its mission. Sometimes the strongest weapon wasn't the one that caused the most damage, but the one that never needed to be fired at all. Ambassador Ji-Min Kang stood in the Thunderchild's main conference room, surveying the diverse group of alien representatives before her. The chamber, originally designed for military briefings, now hosted delegates from 12 different species. Each had come seeking Earth's protection against the growing Varan threat. Captain Jin Ho Park stood quietly at the back of the room, watching the proceedings with interest. His ship's recent demonstrations of power had triggered this diplomatic avalanche, bringing species that had never before considered alliance with Earth to their doorstep. The evidence is undeniable, Ji-Min stated, gesturing to the holographic displays showing Varan slave operations. They've been systematically targeting developing worlds, hiding their true nature behind diplomatic facades. A tall crystalline being called Terex moved forward, its voice translated smoothly by the ship's eye. 3 of our colony worlds have vanished from contact. We suspected the Varans, but could never prove it. Until now. Ji-Min nodded sympathetically. The Thunderchild's database raids had revealed the locations of multiple secret Varan bases. We've confirmed your colonies were targeted. The Varans have been using advanced cloaking technology to hide their slave processing centers. The gathered representatives murmured among themselves. A reptilian delegate named Kex spoke next, his scales shifting colors with emotion. Our ships cannot stand against their weapons, but we have seen how your Thunderchild brushes aside their attacks like nothing. The quantum shield technology is just one of humanity's recent developments. Ji-Min confirmed. We've kept our true capabilities hidden, knowing that some would see them as a threat, but we can no longer stand idle while others suffer. Captain Jin-Ho stepped forward at this point, adding his voice to the discussion. The Thunderchild was built to protect Earth's interests, but those interests now extend to protecting others who cannot protect themselves. The gathered aliens showed signs of hope for the first time. Many of them had suffered silently under Varan aggression, too weak individually to resist, but together, with Earth's advanced technology supporting them. We propose a mutual defense alliance, Ji-Min announced. Earth will provide protection and technological assistance to member worlds. In return, we ask for your help in bringing the Varans to justice. A small avian being called Prel fluttered its wings anxiously. The Varans will not take this lying down. They will come with everything they have. Let them come, Jin-Ho said quietly. The Thunderchild is not alone. Earth has been preparing for this moment for years. Ji-Min brought up a new hologram, showing the locations of Earth's hidden shipyards. We have more ships under construction, all equipped with the same technology that makes the Thunderchild invulnerable to Varan weapons, but we need your help to crew them. The revelation caused excitement among the delegates. Earth wasn't just offering protection. They were offering partnership, the chance to take active roles in their own defense. Together, Ji-Min continued, we can end the Varan threat, not through destruction, but by showing them that their actions will no longer be tolerated, that the galaxy has changed. One by one, the representatives stepped forward to signal their agreement. Each had stories of Varan aggression, of lost ships and stolen people. Each had suffered alone, thinking themselves too weak to resist. We will need to move quickly, Jin-Ho advised. The Varans will realize what's happening soon. They'll try to strike before our alliance can solidify. Ji-Min nodded, which is why we've prepared these. She revealed detailed defense plans, showing how Earth's ships could be distributed to protect key worlds and trade routes. We've been planning this since we first discovered their true nature. The delegates crowded around the tactical displays, seeing hope where before there had been only fear. Earth wasn't just offering weapons or ships. They were offering a complete strategy for changing the balance of power in the galaxy. As the meeting continued into the night, messages flew out across subspace channels. More species were coming, more worlds seeking protection. The Thunderchild's conference room was becoming the birthplace of something unprecedented. A true alliance of mutual defense and support. Ji-Min watched it all with satisfaction. Earth had spent years preparing for this moment, building their strength in secret while watching the Varans prey on others. Now, finally, they could act. The storm is gathering, she told Jin-Ho quietly as they watched the delegates planning together. But this time, the Varans will be the ones caught in it. The captain nodded, his eyes on the tactical displays showing fleet movements across the sector. The Varans were about to learn that their actions had consequences, that their victims were victims no longer. And at the heart of it all was the Thunderchild, the ship that had shown the galaxy that resistance was possible, that protection was available, that hope existed. The gathering storm would change everything, and humanity would lead the way. Tactical Officer Du Yun Choi's fingers moved swiftly across his control panel as the HSS Thunderchill faced a Varan battle group near the Arcturus mining colony. 5 enemy warships had trapped them against the system's asteroid belt, or so they thought. Implementing Combat Pattern Delta, Du Yun announced calmly. AI combat systems engaged and synchronized. Captain Jin Ho Park watched with pride as his ship responded. The massive warship moved with impossible grace, weaving between the asteroids as if they were merely obstacles in a dance. The Varan ships followed, their traditional attack formation breaking up as they struggled to match the Thunderchild's agility. "They're still thinking in straight lines," Du Yun observed. "They haven't adapted to three-dimensional combat yet." Executing Crossing the T maneuver, space warfare variant. The Thunderchild suddenly cut its main engines, using lateral thrusters to pivot 180 degrees while maintaining its vector. The move, inspired by old Earth naval battles, caught the Varan ships completely off guard. "First Officer He-yun, what do you see in their formation?" Jin Ho asked, testing his crew's tactical awareness. "They're bunched too closely together," He-yun replied. "They're fighting like surface ships on an ocean, not understanding space's true dimensions." Du Yun's hands danced across his controls again, initiating Nelson's eye protocol. Eye targeting systems locked on their weak points. The Thunderchild's weapons opened up, not aiming for the Varan ships directly but at specific points in space around them. The energy beams struck nearby asteroids, creating a debris field that forced the enemy vessels to break formation. "Ancient Earth admirals would be proud," Du Yun said with a small smile. "Their tactics still work, just needed some updating for zero gravity." The Varan commander's frustrated voice came over the comm system. "Fight properly, humans. Stop these cowardly maneuvers." Jin Ho exchanged knowing looks with his bridge crew. The Varans still didn't understand. They thought warfare had rules, that there was a proper way to fight. It was why they kept losing. "Show them the Solomon Islands Special," Jin Ho ordered, referencing another historical naval tactic adapted for space combat. Du Yun's eyes lit up as he engaged the sequence. The Thunderchild's quantum drive pulsed in a precise pattern, creating gravitational distortions that mimicked the island chains used by World War II destroyers for cover and ambush. "Multiple torpedo launches detected," reported Sensor Officer Yuri Song. "They're trying to saturate our defense zone." Executing PT boat defense, Du Yun responded smoothly. The Thunderchild released a cloud of automated drone fighters, each one programmed with the tactics of Earth's old torpedo boats. The small, agile craft intercepted the incoming weapons while creating chaos in the Varan formation. "They're splitting up," He-yun noted, finally learning not to cluster their ships. "Too late," Du Yun said, initiating Trafalgar Cross. The Thunderchild suddenly accelerated, cutting through the scattered Varan formation at a precise angle. Its weapons struck with surgical precision, disabling engines and weapons systems without destroying the ships themselves. 3 enemy vessels neutralized, Yuri reported. "The others are retreating to minimum safe jump distance." Jin Ho nodded with satisfaction. "Let them go. They'll spread the word about how we fight." Du Yun powered down the combat systems, his screen showing the disabled Varan ships drifting helplessly. They never understood what they were facing. "We didn't just build a better ship, we built one that thinks in 3 dimensions. The Thunderchild's AI combat system had been programmed with thousands of years of human naval warfare, updated and adapted for the realities of space combat. While other species developed new tactics from scratch, humanity had built upon its long history of warfare. "Send rescue shuttles to the disabled ships," Jin Ho ordered. "Let's show them that human tactics include mercy as well." As the crew carried out their duties, Du Yun reviewed the battle data. Each engagement taught the AI system more, refining its tactical database. The Varans weren't just fighting one ship. They were fighting against the combined military genius of humanity's entire history. "Next time they'll try something different," He-yun predicted. "They're learning." "So are we," Du Yun replied, already updating the combat protocols based on the battle's results. That's the real advantage of combining AI with historical tactics. We adapt faster than they can learn. The Thunderchild moved to assist the disabled ships, its victory complete yet tempered with humanity. They had won not through brute force or superior technology alone, but through the application of centuries of tactical knowledge. And somewhere out in space, two Varan ships were racing home to report how a single human vessel had defeated their squadron using maneuvers they couldn't even understand. The legend of the Thunderchild grew with each encounter, not just for its advanced technology, but for the way it fought with both precision and honor. The battle was over, but the lesson would echo across the galaxy. Humanity didn't just build better ships, they fought smarter battles. And that made all the difference in the endless void of space. Fleet Commander Sung Min Yoon stood on the Thunderchild's bridge, watching as the combined fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Haven Colony. 20 ships of various designs and origins, united under Earth's leadership, emerged into normal space in perfect formation. Above the colony world, 12 Varan warships maintained their brutal blockade, unaware that liberation had arrived. All ships reporting ready, Captain Jinho Park announced from his tactical station. He had temporarily surrendered command of the Thunderchild to Sung Min for this crucial operation. Colony status, Sung Min asked, his voice carrying the weight of command. First Officer Hei Yun Lee checked her readings. Orbital defenses are down. Population centers show signs of bombardment. Approximately 50,000 colonists still alive in the underground shelters. Sung Min's jaw tightened. The Varans had been systematically destroying Haven's infrastructure, trying to force the colonists to surrender themselves into slavery. They hadn't expected anyone to come to the aid of this small, independent settlement. Signal the fleet, he ordered. Battle plan liberation begins now. The Allied fleet split into 3 groups, executing the carefully rehearsed maneuver. The Thunderchild led the central force, while ships from the Praxis Confederation and the Meridian Alliance took the flanks. Varan ships are responding, Jinho reported. They're moving to engage. Sung Min allowed himself a small smile. They still think they're the strongest force in this sector. Show them how wrong they are. The Thunderchild surged forward, its quantum shields glowing as it absorbed the first volley of Varan fire. Behind it, Allied ships equipped with Earth's defensive technology followed confidently, no longer afraid of the weapons that had once terrorized them. Enemy fleet is splitting up, Hei Yun called out. They're trying to maintain the blockade while engaging us. Perfect, Sung Min responded. Execute Phase 2. From the colony's dark side, hidden by sensor masking technology provided by Earth, a group of small, fast ships suddenly appeared. Each one carried teams of specialists from different Allied worlds, all trained to disable Varan slave control systems. The Varan commander's voice crackled over the comm system. This colony is claimed by the Empire. Withdraw or be destroyed. Haven Colony is under the protection of the Earth-led Alliance, Sung Min replied calmly. You are ordered to stand down and surrender. The response came in the form of intensified weapons fire, which splashed harmlessly against the Allied ship shields. The Varans still hadn't accepted that their technological advantage was gone. Boarding teams are away, Jinho reported, moving to Phase 3. The Allied fleet executed a complex series of maneuvers, demonstrating the results of months of joint training. Ships from different worlds, with different designs and capabilities, moved as one cohesive unit. The Varan formation began to break apart as they tried to counter attacks coming from multiple directions. First slave control center disabled, Hei Yun announced triumphantly. Colony shields are starting to recover. Underground, the colonists were already fighting back. Earth had smuggled weapons and equipment to them over the past weeks, preparing for this moment. As the Varan control systems failed, Haven's own defensive systems began coming back online. 3 enemy ships disabled, Jinho reported. 4 more showing critical damage. The remainder are falling back to secondary positions. Sung Min watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The Varens were learning the hard way that they faced more than just superior technology. They faced the combined tactical knowledge and determination of a dozen species who had finally said enough to oppression. Message from the colony. He-Yun called out. They've retaken the main control center. Planetary defense systems are charging. The remaining Varen ships, realizing their position was hopeless, began retreating. Their once mighty blockade had been shattered by the combined strength of those they had once preyed upon. Let them run. Some men ordered as some allied ships moved to pursue. They'll spread the word. Haven Colony is just the first. Every world they've enslaved will be freed. The bridge crew watched as the last Varen ships jumped to hyperspace. Below, on Haven's surface, crowds were emerging from their shelters, cheering as they saw the Allied fleet in orbit. Freedom had returned to their world. Begin landing relief supplies, some men commanded. Medical teams first, then engineering crews to help rebuild. The Thunderchild took up a protective orbit as smaller ships descended to the surface. Each Allied world had contributed what they could: medical supplies, food, construction materials. This wasn't just a military victory. It was a statement that the galaxy's people could stand together. Send word to Earth Command. Some men told He-Yun. Haven Colony is secure. The Liberation Fleet performed exactly as planned. As the reports came in, some men reflected on how far they had come. Just months ago, these allied species had been hiding from Varen power. Now they fought together, protecting others as Earth had protected them. The liberation of Haven Colony would send shockwaves through the galaxy, not just because of the victory, but because of how it was achieved. Different species working together, sharing technology and tactics, united in the cause of freedom. And this was just the beginning. More worlds waited to be freed. More people needed to be rescued from Varen oppression. The fleet would not rest until all were safe. The cheers from the surface grew louder as the first relief ships landed. Haven Colony was free, and its people would never face slavery again. The age of Varen dominance was ending, one liberated world at a time. The massive Varen flagship hung in space above their homeworld, surrounded by the largest fleet they had ever assembled. High Admiral Xyra watched with growing concern as the HSS Thunderchild appeared at the edge of the system, seemingly alone against overwhelming odds. Captain Jinho Park stood calmly on his bridge, knowing what was about to happen. The Varens had gathered their entire remaining fleet for this final stand, exactly as Earth had planned. Their flagship is hailing us, First Officer He-Yun reported. Put them through, Jinho ordered, straightening his uniform. High Admiral Xyra's scaled face appeared on the main screen, his expression a mixture of anger and confusion. One ship. You challenge our entire fleet with one ship. Look closer, Admiral, Jinho replied with quiet confidence. The Thunderchild is never alone. On cue, space behind the human warship began to ripple. Jump points formed in precise patterns, each one carefully calculated. Earth's main battle fleet emerged from hyperspace, ship after ship appearing in perfect formation. Each vessel gleamed with the same quantum shield technology that had made the Thunderchild legendary. Battle stations, Jinho commanded. Target their command ship. Let's end this war. The Thunderchild's antimatter cannons began to charge, the weapon that had never failed them humming with building power. Around them, 50 Earth vessels moved into attack positions, their own weapons coming online. Varen fleet is responding, Tactical Officer Minho Quan reported. They're forming a defensive screen around their flagship. Jinho nodded. Just as expected. Execute Operation Checkmate. The Earth fleet split into predetermined groups, each one targeting specific sections of the Varen formation. The Thunderchild drove straight for the center, its quantum shields easily absorbing the panicked fire from enemy vessels. Their coordination is breaking down, He-Yun observed. They've never faced this many advanced ships at once. The Varen fleet had always relied on superior technology to maintain their power. Now, facing an armada that had surpassed them, their tactics fell apart. Ships collided as they tried to maintain formation, their commanders unused to fighting equals. Main weapons at full charge, Min-ho announced. Target locked on their command ship. Jin-ho took a deep breath. This shot would change the galaxy. Fire. The Thunderchild's antimatter beam lanced out, joined by synchronized fire from the Earth fleet. The Varan flagship's shields, once thought impenetrable, flared brilliant blue before failing completely. Direct hit, Min-ho reported. Their main power is failing. Secondary systems are offline. Around the stricken flagship, the Varan fleet began to fall into chaos. Some ships tried to maintain position, others attempted to flee. None of them could match the coordination of Earth's forces. Message from High Admiral Tsyra, Hei-yun called out. They're offering surrender. The bridge crew fell silent. After years of fighting, after countless worlds enslaved, the Varan Empire was finally facing defeat, and it had happened not through destruction, but through the demonstration of overwhelming technological superiority. Tell them we accept their surrender, Jin-ho ordered, on condition that they free all enslaved worlds and submit to Alliance oversight. As the message was sent, Earth ships moved to secure the disabled Varan vessels. The fight had been won with minimal loss of life, exactly as they had planned. Signal from Earth Command, Hei-yun reported. Liberation fleets are moving to secure all known Varan slave worlds. The Empire's fall is being broadcast across all subspace channels. Jin-ho looked out at the scene before him. The mighty Varan fleet, now silent and powerless. Their flagship, once a symbol of terror, now dark and still. And around them, Earth's ships standing guard over the beginning of a new era. Send word to our allies, he ordered. The war is over. Freedom has won. The Thunderchild's crew maintained their professional composure, but their pride was evident. They had been part of something historic. The day humanity proved it could defeat tyranny without becoming tyrants themselves. As repair crews began assisting the damaged Varan ships, Jin-ho reflected on their journey. From that first encounter when they discovered the truth about Varan slavery, to this final battle that ended their empire, Earth had risen not just as a military power, but as a force for justice in the galaxy. Incoming transmissions from liberated worlds, Hei-yun announced, her voice thick with emotion. They're celebrating everywhere. The slave camps are being opened. The war had ended not with the destruction of the Varan people, but with their defeat and surrender. Earth would help them rebuild as a peaceful member of the galactic community. Their days of enslaving others forever ended. And it had all started with one ship, the Thunderchild, whose legend would now grow even greater. The ship that had shown the galaxy a better way. That victory could come without vengeance. That power could serve justice rather than domination. The turning point had come, and with it, the promise of a better future for all species among the stars. The Grand Conference Hall on New Earth Station hummed with activity as representatives from 40 different species gathered for the signing of the Galactic Concordat. Captain Jin-ho Park stood beside Ambassador Ji-min Kang, watching as delegates took their places beneath the massive viewport that showed the HSS Thunderchild in orbit above. Hard to believe it all started with one ship, Jin-ho said quietly, adjusting his dress uniform. Jae-min smiled. One ship that changed everything. Look at them all, former enemies sitting together, planning the shared future. Indeed, the scene before them was remarkable. Varan delegates sat peacefully beside species they had once enslaved. Trading partners who had once feared to cross paths now discussed joint ventures. And at the center of it all stood humanity, the unexpected guardians who had reshaped the galaxy. The final delegates have arrived, announced First Officer Hei-yun Lee, who had traded her tactical station for diplomatic duties today. We're ready to begin. Jae-min stepped up to the podium, her voice clear and strong as it carried across the assembled aliens. Welcome to a new dawn for our galaxy. Today we forge more than peace. We forge a future. The Thunderchild's image dominated the viewport behind her, its quantum shields creating a subtle blue glow that seemed to underscore her words. The ship had become more than a vessel. It was a symbol of protection and hope. "We gather not as conquerors and conquered," Jamin continued, "but as equals. Earth extends its protection not to rule, but to ensure that no species need ever fear enslavement or oppression again." In the audience, a former Varan slave master sat beside the leader of a world he had once terrorized. Both nodded at Jamin's words, their ancient conflict resolved not through destruction but understanding. "The Galactic Concordat establishes more than rules," Jamin explained. "It creates a framework for cooperation. Earth's technology will be shared with all signatory worlds. Our quantum shields will protect trade routes. Our knowledge will lift up developing worlds." Jinho watched as his crew, scattered throughout the audience in dress uniform, sat proudly. They had started this journey as warriors, but would end it as peacekeepers. "Let the signing begin," Jamin announced. One by one, representatives approached the central table. Each added their signature to the document that would change everything. Former enemies shook hands. Old rivals exchanged respectful nods. The galaxy was healing. The Thunderchild requests permission to perform the honor salute, Heiyun whispered to Jinho. He nodded, and above the station, the legendary warship began a complex series of maneuvers. Its quantum shields shifted through rainbow colors, creating a light show that drew gasps of appreciation from the assembled delegates. "We were wrong about humans," a Varan delegate said quietly to Jinho. "We thought your technology made you powerful, but it was your mercy that truly conquered us." As the final signatures were added, Jimin raised her hands for attention. "The Concordat is complete. From this day forward, we move together into a brighter future." Cheers erupted from the assembled species. The Thunderchild's light show reached its crescendo, filling the viewport with dancing colors that symbolized the unity of different peoples. "Captain," Heiyun reported, "we're receiving messages from across the galaxy. Worlds that weren't even involved in the conflict are requesting to join the Concordat." Jinho smiled. They had achieved something greater than victory in war. They had created peace that would last. "The Thunderchild will remain as the symbol of our commitment," Jamin announced. "But she will be joined by ships from all our worlds, working together to protect our shared space." The assembled delegates rose in standing ovation. Former slaves embraced their liberators. Past enemies exchanged technology and promises of cooperation. The galaxy had been transformed. "What happens now?" Heiyun asked quietly. "Now comes the real work," Jinho replied. "Building something that will last. Teaching others to protect themselves. Making sure this peace endures." Above them all, the Thunderchild continued its dance among the stars. The ship that had started as Earth's greatest warship had become something more. A beacon of hope, a symbol of protection, and a reminder that strength was most powerful when used to defend others. The new dawn had arrived, not with fire and destruction, but with understanding and cooperation. Humanity had risen among the stars not as conquerors, but as guardians, and that made all the difference. The galaxy would remember this day not as the end of a war, but as the beginning of an era where different species worked together, where technology served peace, and where the strong protected the weak. And it had all started with one ship, one crew, and one simple truth, that the greatest victory comes not from defeating enemies, but from turning them into friends.